Dawn crawls over northern France like a wounded animal, slow, shivering, unsure of its own strength. A thin gray mist clings to the ground outside the German command post at La Roche-Guyon, wrapping the stone walls in a damp, uneasy hush. Inside, the air tastes of cold metal and unspoken fear. A phone rings. Not sharply, not urgently, almost timidly, as if it too understands the danger of waking the men sleeping at their desks. Major Wilhelm Kruger lifts his head first. His neck cracks. His fingers, ink-stained, trembling, reach for the receiver. He listens. His lips part. He doesn't blink. Landingen. Landings. The word hangs in the stale air like smoke. Across the room, General Jodl stirs from a half-sleep, pushing aside maps curled at the edges from the humidity. The smell of wet wool, burnt coffee, and sweat sits heavily between them. A typewriter ticks randomly as it cools from being overworked through the night. Kruger swallows, hard. He repeats the message, as if saying it aloud might somehow distort it into something less threatening. Reports of landings, multiple sectors, Normandy. Jodl's eyes sharpen. First confusion, then irritation, then something colder, like a man realizing the house he sleeps in is already on fire. He stands, stiff-backed, boots scraping the stone floor. It's another diversion, he mutters, voice hoarse. The real invasion will come at Pas de Calais. They are trying to pull us apart, but the phone rings again. Louder this time. More insistently, another report. More landings, more beaches. The room seems to shrink, walls pushing inward, breaths growing shallow. Outside, the first birds begin to sing, oblivious to history twisting itself open. Kruger grips the map table to steady himself. General, they say the horizon is filled with ships. Jodl looks up, and in that instant the lie they had clung to for months begins to crack. The convoy rattles along the narrow forest road toward the coastal command bunker, the morning light flickering between trees like a broken film reel. Inside the back of the truck, Kruger sits wedged between two radio operators, his helmet pressed against his thigh, his breath clouding the chilly air. The engine growls beneath them, a deep, uneasy rumble, as if the machine itself senses the weight of the message they carry. He watches dust swirl through cracks in the slatted wooden walls. Each vibration sends maps rustling like restless ghosts. The operators whisper to each other, voices thin and sharp. They said 5 beaches. No, 6. Hundreds of ships. Thousands. Every number seems impossible. Every rumor worse than the last. Kruger thinks of the propaganda posters, smiling soldiers, burning Allied flags, promises of invincibility. He imagines them peeling from walls back in Berlin, the glue losing its strength, edges curling like dying leaves. A sudden jolt. The truck hits a pothole. One operator crushes his cigarette under his boot as the vehicle lurches to a stop. The tailgate is thrown open, letting in a slap of salty wind. Distant thunder rolls across the horizon, but it's not thunder. It's too steady, too rhythmic. Artillery, the kind that comes from ships, many ships. Kruger jumps down, boots sinking into damp earth. The air smells of seaweed and cordite, of something vast approaching. Officers hurry past carrying binoculars, field telephones, stacks of coded messages. Their faces share the same pale sheen, dread, thinly painted over discipline. A young messenger rushes by, nearly colliding with him. "Sir," he gasps. "The Führer still believes this is a feint. High Command insists Calais remains the target." Kruger looks toward the distant coastline, where smoke lifts like bruises into the sky. He feels deep in his chest the sickening certainty. This is no diversion. By the time Kruger reaches the cliffside bunker overlooking the Normandy coast, the sky has turned the color of tarnished steel. Smoke drifts in long, exhausted ribbons across the horizon. The sea, usually serene, predictable, boils with ships. Lines of them. Rows. Columns. A floating city advancing toward France with brutal patience. Inside the bunker, the air is thick with sweat and frantic radio chatter. Typewriter keys hammer like small explosions. Maps are spread everywhere, on walls, tables, even the floor, each one stabbed with colored pins that suddenly feel meaningless. General Marx stands at the central table, his uniform jacket unbuttoned, hair matted to his forehead. His spectacles are cracked on one side, giving him a slightly haunted look. When he sees Kruger, he points toward the observation slit. "Tell me what you see," Marx says, voice barely above a whisper. Kruger leans forward. At first he sees only fog, then shapes emerging from it, dark. Hulking silhouettes, warships, landing craft. Endless streams of them cutting through the surf like teeth. A shape of realization forms inside him, slow and cold. His throat tightens. Marks watches him.
Say it.
Kruger forces the words out. It's the invasion. Marks closes his eyes, absorbing it like a man taking a blow to the gut. When he speaks, his voice is frayed. High Command insists this is a deception, that we must not move the panzer divisions. Another explosion trembles through the bunker, dust spiraling from the ceiling. Officers flinch. A coffee cup shatters on the floor. Marks grips the table with both hands, knuckles turning white. If they are wrong, he murmurs, France is already lost. Kruger looks again at the sea of ships, each one carrying men determined to carve open the continent. And in that vast, terrible view, he feels it. History is no longer approaching. It has already arrived. The morning drags into a grim, breathless afternoon. Messages arrive in frantic bursts, crackling radios, panting couriers, ink smearing across trembling hands. The bunker grows hotter, despite the cold stone walls. Air feels rationed. Every breath must be earned. Kruger moves between stations, collecting fragments of disaster. Units collapsing. Beaches overrun. Paratroopers scattered behind defenses like dark seeds falling into German soil. Each report lands with the weight of a confession. But beneath the chaos lies a slower, more disturbing revelation, one that creeps into the room. Like damp seeping through the floor, the enemy isn't breaking. They are advancing, organized, coordinated, relentless. And in the officers' eyes, a new understanding begins to bloom, fragile and horrifying. For months, they had mocked America's resolve, cartoonish posters, jokes about soft soldiers raised on jazz and milkshakes. That myth had been comfortable, easy to believe in the dim glow of victory celebrations. Now the truth crashes ashore with every landing craft. At one radio station, Lieutenant Adler listens to intercepted Allied chatter. His face drains pale. They sound calm, he murmurs. They're under fire and they sound calm. Kruger hears it too. Steady voices, clipped commands, the strange composure of men stepping into hell with discipline instead of panic. It contradicts every film reel shown in Berlin. A low boom rolls through the walls, naval guns hammering. German coastal batteries. A map falls from its nail, curling on the ground like a wounded animal. No one picks it up. General Marks rubs a hand over his face, smearing soot across his cheek. We misjudged them, he whispers. Utterly. Outside the bunker, the sky grows darker, though it is only afternoon. Smoke, ash, and the heavy shadow of truth pull across the land like a storm front. The invasion is real, and Germany, for the first time, feels small. Night presses down on the bunker before anyone acknowledges the sun has set. Lamps flicker with a sickly yellow glow, casting long shadows across the floor. Shadows that seem to tremble like frightened animals. The constant rumble of distant naval guns becomes a kind of heartbeat, steady and cruel. Kruger sits on an overturned ammunition crate, a cold cup of coffee cradled between his palms. The liquid tastes metallic, bitter, but he drinks anyway. It keeps his thoughts sharp, too sharp. Across from him, Colonel Weiss paces back and forth, his boots scraping softly against stone. He clings to a clipboard like it's a lifeline. They've broken through at multiple points, he mutters. We need the panzer reserves, all of them, now. But Berlin still believes this is a feint, Kruger says quietly. Weiss stops pacing. His shoulders stiffen. He looks toward the ceiling as if the weight of that decision hangs somewhere above them. A feint. He spits the word. Do you hear the guns? Do you smell the burning oil? This is no rehearsal. Another messenger bursts in, mud on his uniform, helmet dented. He hands Weiss a slip of paper. The colonel reads it. His mouth opens slightly, but no sound comes out. What is it? Kruger asks. Weiss swallows. American airborne have taken bridges we didn't even know they were targeting. His voice cracks. They're moving inland faster than we can react. A silence falls, thick, suffocating. Somewhere outside, a lone dog begins to bark, frantic and confused. For the first time, Kruger realizes the truth gnawing at every officer in the room. It isn't just that the Allies came. It's that they came prepared for every German assumption. Every blind spot, every comfort built on arrogance. Germany isn't being outnumbered. It's being outthought. Past midnight. The bunker feels less like a command center and more like the inside of a sinking ship. Condensation beads along the concrete walls, dripping in slow, uneven rhythms. Each drop echoes faintly, like the ticking of a clock running out of time. Kruger leans over the operations table. tracing trembling fingertips along the edge of the Normandy map. It is torn, smudged with soot, corners softened from constant handling. The colored pins, once symbols of confidence, now resemble wounds, bleeding across France. General Marx returns from the radio room with a strange, hollow expression. His voice sounds thinner than before, as if shaved down by the weight of too many bad reports. "They've established a foothold," he says. No one replies. "They're bringing in armor now, tanks, endless supply ships, wave after wave." He tries to straighten his jacket, but his fingers fumble at the buttons. "Our coastal divisions, they cannot hold." A lieutenant breaks the silence. His voice is barely audible. "Sir," the men are asking. They want to know, where are our reinforcements? Marx lowers himself into a chair, its legs scraping the floor with a tired whine. "Reinforcements." He exhales, the breath shuddering. Still held in reserve. Hitler refuses to release them until Calais is attacked. Kruger watches the truth seep into the room like cold mist. It is not the Allies who are paralyzing them. It is their own leadership. A sudden gust rattles the bunker door. The candles flicker. Papers swirl off the table. Outside, the distant glow of fires paints the coastline with a sickly, wavering orange. Kruger closes his eyes. He hears the Allied ships pounding the shore, each blast a reminder of a decision not made, a warning not heeded. For the first time, he whispers it aloud. "We are losing Normandy, because we cannot admit we are wrong."